Hey guys, welcome back to Coach All Writes. If you're applying to the University of California, I've got 5 quick tips to improve your application. When writing your PIQs, it's important to remember that the person looking at your application is going to be viewing it holistically, so you want to avoid repetition. I've seen applications where students have written all 4 of their PIQs about the same topic, and it's overkill. It also makes them seem one-dimensional. So try to choose different topics for each of the essays, and also try to make sure that you are accenting what is elsewhere in your application if it's necessary, but at the same time, make sure that it's adding value and new information. If you're merely repeating what is already listed somewhere else in the application, then it's going to seem redundant and it could actually work against you. As with all college and scholarship application essays, you want to make sure that you're maximizing your word count. So this means that we want to make sure that the words that we include are valuable and they're helping to convey our story. So we want to avoid cliche expressions and filler words because these detract from the quality of writing. So they might add words to our application, but they're not valuable words. Also, if you go over your word count, these are words that you should omit to get under the word count. Now, let's think about the actual quality of writing as a whole. Let's say that you're using phrases like I was running. You could simplify this to I ran. Now that's going to be more direct and it's going to be fewer words. So use those specific direct verbs to tighten up the quality of your writing. You also want to make sure that you're using precise details. Now this could add more words to your actual essay, but we want to make sure that the details we're giving are specific and they allow the reader to understand what's going on in the actual essay. If you are vague or general, it's going to be a weaker essay. We also want to consider our audience and purpose, and because of this, in almost all cases, you're going to want to avoid slang. Formatting also matters because you want to make sure that your response is easy to read. So if you have just one paragraph and it's all crammed together, it's going to look like a wall of text and that makes it a lot harder to read. So you want to break that up. It's not like an academic writing essay in class where you might need 10 sentences per paragraph. This is more like a creative writing exercise. So it's okay to have those shorter paragraphs and to break them up into more paragraphs as needed because that makes it easier to read. Now, in terms of the readability, we also want to focus on the quality of our sentences. We want to vary our syntax, which means our sentence structure. So include some different syntactical structures. Make sure you're using your commas correctly. Maybe have sentences with a dependent clause and independent clause. You can also have sentences that appropriately use a colon or a dash because this could add a little variety as well. When choosing your PIQ prompts, you want to make sure that you're choosing prompts that help to offer a complete portrait of who you are. So we want to showcase your personal growth, your intellectual curiosity, and also other elements that are not found elsewhere in your application. So the prompts lend themselves to these topics as is, but make sure that you're showing a complete picture of who you are. Like we said earlier, if you're too repetitive, you seem one-dimensional, but really focus on not only your academic interests, but who you are outside of the classroom as well. Also, remember that this is your application, so you should be the major character or the star. Make it personal. So it is okay to reference other people if it's relevant, but you don't want other people to be the focus of your story because it's your story. Going along with the idea that your application needs to be highly personal, you want to make sure that your responses speak to who you are and that they couldn't have been written by somebody else. Oftentimes, students are a bit too general when talking about their academic interests or their activities in these responses, and so it doesn't highlight their interests enough. You also want to make sure that you're avoiding repetitive phrasing. Because you're writing about yourself, it is okay to use the term I, but if you overuse that, it does detract from the flow of the essay, and it could add to your word count unnecessarily. So you want to be mindful of that as well.